All right, so I just finished the first training day. I'm going to try to give you some feedback on each of these days. A lot of you guys asked for accessory stuff, what I'm doing, and some general insight. I'm going to give it a go this week and see how it goes. So session number 1 wrapped up for the day, and today was actually the first day I was doing pin squats, which changes up safety bar squats, which you guys know I'm a huge fan of. I like them a lot. I've been doing them for a long time, but as part of my programming, I asked Bryce Lewis, who's doing my programming through the Strength Athlete, I said, what I've been finding is in my training, I've been pushing myself a lot on the safety bar squats, on day 2, on the block pulls, that when it comes to Thursday, Friday, which are my days 3 and 4, my lower back is starting to feel really fatigued, especially as I'm trying to push myself on Thursday when I have my competition back squat. So when it comes to Friday, the last training day of the week, my lower back tends to be a little bit sore and hurt. And I think that some of the work I'm doing beforehand is kind of taking from that a little bit. So I asked him for some ideas of what we could switch out safety bar squats with and still do like an assistance move. So what I actually went through was either potentially doing pause squats or pin squats, which again, I haven't done in a very long time, and I'm actually doing them on straps, but what I ended up doing was working up to a heavier set of 5, or at least a moderately heavy set. One of the things that I always like to do when it comes to new exercises as they come in and out of my training program is kind of take it a little bit light going in, because I don't want to overdo it, because I don't know how it's going to go necessarily. I need to really set a baseline for myself. And as I do that, and as the weeks go on, then I can really start to add to the weight and push the numbers a little bit, especially when it's RPE-based work. And again, being said, one of the things that I'm trying to do is actually kind of back off a little bit. That way I'm saving myself for Thursday and Friday, which tend to be my heavier days. So a heavy set of 5, I worked up to 365, felt pretty good. I set the straps kind of right at a tiny little bit above parallel, depending on where you want to look at my hip crease. And again, just really tried to make sure I got good clean reps. And then I did a couple of back off sets with about a 7% drop from there. We then moved on to bench press, and typically my first working day of bench, and I do it 3 times per week, is more of a rep-based day. And it's actually been going kind of where we're going heavier and lower reps. So I think I just finished doing 6 reps last week, but we're going to reset a little bit, back off a little, only because I'm about 4 weeks out from a test. So kind of take my foot off the gas on some of this assistance work, and then start to work those Thursday, Friday days into heavier and lower rep work. But things moved really well. So a couple sets of 9 with 235 pounds. And again, my bench is feeling a lot better since switching to the 3 times per week. I then superset those bench work in with some kind of chest supported incline rows, which I'm a big fan of. But that's one of the ways that I try to expedite these training sessions, is if I can kind of superset some of the exercises, which I typically do outside of the main exercise or 2, to really speed things up. So I did some flat bench and I did some incline dumbbell rows. And I'm talking to you right before I go to the next 2 exercises, which are going to be weighted pull-ups and some tricep work. So I'm going to superset those in as well, which you'll see. But that's basically day 1 of this training program. I feel pretty good, as I generally tend to do on Mondays. But we'll talk to you tomorrow and see how we feel. All right, so we're back from day 2, and I'm going to do this a little bit differently than the last part of the video you just saw, where I talked to you really towards the end of the day after I got all my main movements out. And the reason I want to talk to you beforehand this time is to give you some insight into how I'm feeling, which, truth be told, isn't that great. So I mentioned a couple of minutes ago that when I do a new movement, I like to ease into it, because I have the tendency to find that it really kind of wrecks me a little bit. And I'm feeling it today in my lower back. And it's not just because of the movement itself. It's just one of the things that I've been seeing with a younger son, that I've been dealing with more lower back issues. And a big part of that is because he's 11 weeks old. He doesn't sleep that great, especially if he's not sleeping on somebody. So the general way things work is he wakes up around 4 a.m. and unless he's sleeping on somebody, he doesn't really go back to sleep. And if he's not sleeping, it means I'm not sleeping. So I bite the bullet and I let him sleep on me. But that usually leaves my back feeling a little bit tender the next day, just based off the position and not being able to move around much. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. So my back is feeling it today. I say that because going into today's work, this is where I really like RPE-based stuff, which is my main movement for block pulls today. It's an RPE-based work, and it's a little bit lower RPE at 6 or 7. So this way I'm going to be able to really work within my means, as opposed to doing something like, let's say, percentage-based training, where the percentage doesn't really care how you feel. It is what it is. If it says it's 85%, it doesn't matter if you feel like crap, you're still supposed to do 85%. With RPE, again, it's really based off of how you feel and what you do with the actual weight. So it's going to allow me to kind of skirt around some of my issues and still not really feel like I failed the training session for today. So 3 sets of 7 on block pulls. We'll see what I end up working up to. Probably nothing heavy, just because, again, I want to make sure that my lower back is feeling good in time for Thursday and Friday's workout, which are my more compound competition specific movements. Other than that, I have bench press today, so I have tempo bench, and benching back-to-back days is always a little bit weird because as I'm warming up, I always feel really tight and sore. I'm like, oh great, it's not going to go great. But surprisingly enough, today is probably the day that my bench always feels the strongest. I'm not sure if I'm just warmed up from the previous day's work or because it's tempo-based work and I'm forcing to slow myself down. Kind of see a lot of the same benefits that I talked about in my squat video earlier last week or later last week, whenever I made it, talking about how slowing down the tempo on the descent really helps me, and then you can explode and get in better position and have more power overall. That could be it as well, but bench has been feeling great overall. So 3 sets of 4 on bench, and that is percentage based in that case. I then have some dumbbell bench, which I'll show you. And my program calls for ab work as the 4th movement of the day or the last movement of the day. Truth be told, I almost always skip this. I don't find that I necessarily need it, or at least I tell myself I don't. And because I'm usually on a time crunch, because I'm trying to train in between my lunch break and try to condense these sessions as much as possible, it usually kind of goes to the wayside. So it is what it is, full disclosure. So hopefully you'll be seeing the clips now, and hopefully today went well. But again, I'll update you on my next training day, which will be 2 days from now, which will be my day 3, which is going to be Thursday. Today is Tuesday. And hopefully my lower back is feeling nice because I'd like to kind of squat a lot of weight, and we'll see how that goes. So we'll talk to you in the next video, or next part of the video, I should say. All right, so we're back for day 3, which is technically on Thursday. So since I started filming, this is the 4th day because I take Wednesdays off. This is going to be a very quick check-in only because it's one of those days where things just pop up. So I came in to do my main squat work, which was to work up to a heavy triple on squats, or heavy-ish RPE 7. So not extremely heavy, but a triple at 6, then a triple at 7, and then 3 sets of 3 back off, basically drop 10% from whatever my top work set was going to be. My top work set ended up being 475. I thought it moved really, really well. I felt really strong on squats today, which is great considering, on Tuesday talking about my lower back being sore. But after I did my first back off set with 10% down, which is like 440 or something like that, which I didn't even film, by the way. Actually, the weight's still on the bar. Let's see. It is, I lied. It is 425. My wife has not been feeling well today. We have 2 kids. So I actually had to go in and help her, which means my training was done for the day. So I didn't get to do any of my accessory work. You're not going to see it. I was just supposed to do some Bulgarian split squats and then probably like a back movement, a triceps movement, something like that. I skipped it just because other things were more pressing. And from when you saw my last working set of squats to right now, it's probably been almost like 2 hours. So watching the kids for a little bit in full workout gear, of course, knee sleeves and all that, which is always good. But it's one of those things that I just treat how it is. And I did get my main set in. And given the fact, again, my lower back was feeling sore earlier, I'm not even mad. In fact, I'm kind of happy how things worked out because that means I'll be even fresher for my deadlift day tomorrow. So it's Halloween. I'm just going to wrap some stuff up with work and then take the kids out. So I will check in with you guys tomorrow. All right, so I felt like today was a little bit of deja vu from yesterday, and I'll explain in a minute, but today's work called for deadlifts, a couple of sets at 4. The first working set was supposed to be rated at an RPE 6. The next set of 4 was supposed to be at RPE 7, and then whatever I worked up at 2.7, I was gonna drop at 8% and do a couple of back off sets at 4. So for my set of 4 at 6, I went with 455, and that felt pretty accurate. So then I decided to be a little bit aggressive and go for 495 for a set of 4, which was supposed to be at 7. Now I say this is aggressive because one of the things I do with my RPE work is I take a look at my previous work and try to kind of base it off that to get an idea of what my numbers should be. I know RPE is a lot of based off how you feel that particular day, but that has helped me in the past. And last week I did a set of 495 for a set of 2, which I rated, I think, at a 7. So I think today going for 495 for a set of 4 at 7 still was actually an aggressive call. But weirdly enough, it felt like an RPE of 5, meaning that it felt way too easy, which was interesting because, again, based off previous week's work, and even given the fact before that, the 455 felt like a 6, I just took it as a win. So I could have probably pushed it more, but that would have thrown me off a little bit. And given that I'm on a time crunch, I didn't want to just keep doing it. And plus, it's actually good, in my opinion, to build some positive momentum. So I'll just take that into consideration going forward. That 495 today felt really, really good. So I'm going to keep that in my pocket, so to say. Then into some back off sets at 8% and less, which ended up being 455 as well, which worked out pretty well. But that's where things got me a little bit flashing back to yesterday, because as I mentioned, my wife hasn't been feeling well, so I'm trying to help out what I can with the kids. We have 2 of them, but we're also watching my 2 nieces, who happen to be 4 and 3 respectively. So 4 kids, all at lunchtime, which happens to be right around their nap time. So I went in and helped out again, and it took a while to get them all down. In fact, it took about an hour. So between my set of deadlifts and my first set of my next exercise, which was bench, was roughly an hour's worth of time in between. So I was really kind of rushed to get things finished because I just can't be taking all this time. I do have a work job and have to pay the bills, so to say. So I came in, did bench. It was 4 sets of 3 at 280, all moved pretty well. I'd probably rate it at about a 7.5. My shoulder's feeling a little bit gamey, but that's all right. We're going to keep on pushing through. We'll rest, recover this weekend, and get back after it. But because of the time crunch, I didn't do any of the other assistance work, but that's okay. Hopefully you guys like this video. If you like these kind of videos, let me know in the comment section below. I'm not going to do one like this every week where I'm giving you feedback each day, but if there's something specific you want to see, let me know. And in the meantime, as always, thanks for watching and stay big.